Good afternoon, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Carolyn Davies, and there are probably some of you who'd rather not see me again talking about this, but that's a different issue for another day. I'm here on behalf of the Board of Directors and the staff of Passamaquoddy Lodge. I'd just like to acknowledge a couple of people before we start. One is our board president, Ann McIntosh, who has said they don't need more talking heads up here, so she happily passed the baton to me. I'd also like to acknowledge a couple of we have a very dedicated group of, small group of volunteers working on this project. When they were approached to join us, they did not realize it was a life sentence. And the only way they get out of it is if they get into one of those rooms. So I'd like to acknowledge Don Smith and Alan Fiender, who are here representing the rest of the Development Committee, and Yolande Jay, who's the administrator for the Lodge, who is also a part of the committee. A couple of our other members are away, out of town, so they couldn't be here today and send along their apologies. I think I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge His Worship the Mayor. He is physically here. And I've been asked to pass along Kathy Baucus's regrets. She had some commitments in Fredericton that she couldn't get out of, but she did ask me to pass along that she is still strongly supportive of this initiative, and she's keeping on pushing. So without further ado, now we also do have representatives here for some of the other aspects of this nursing home complex. So we have a couple of people from the Passamaquoddy Children's Center. So if there are any questions with respect to the Children's Center, they will happily answer those. I could answer them, but you couldn't believe a word I'd say about it, so it's probably best to not say anything. And we also have Yolande will be able to answer any questions on Nursing Home Without Walls, our recent initiative of the Senior Resource Center, and any other of the support to aging in place that might come up. Just another quick thing to point out. I know a number of you have been looking at the renderings and these, help me there, renderings and the specs, no, schematics up there. If you have any questions after the presentation, Alan or Don would be happy to answer them. This is our opportunity to give you an idea of what we're proposing. You know, the old adage, a picture's worth 1,000 words. I think this speaks a lot stronger and a lot more powerfully than whatever we can say up here. So, as some of you know, we have been on a journey with this. And to accomplish something as major as a new Passamaquoddy Lodge complex, which is not just a nursing home, but also includes a daycare, also includes a community hub to support aging in place. There's a lot of work that goes into that. And we have been doing a lot of work. We started in 2017 with the Age Friendly Community Initiative, which was basically members of the board of directors for Passamaquoddy Lodge and staff from Passamaquoddy Lodge that pushed that through. There was phenomenal participation from across the community, and that is what made that initiative such a success and got the town the recognition as an age-friendly community. It also pointed out some of the things that we needed to put in place as a community to help people stay here. I got involved because I had friends saying, I no longer want to look after a large house, and for me to downsize, I have to move away. Or if my spouse has to go to a nursing home, they have to go away. And I'm going, well, then all my friends are going to leave, and who's going to entertain me? So it was not purely selfish. So that's where some of it started. We also, as a board, came up with the proposal in 2018 that we wanted a nursing home with 60 individual rooms, each with their private bathroom, not 20 individual and 20 shared, with shared bathrooms, no doors on the toilets, no room in the rooms. Nothing against the staff and the building we have. It was built in a different time for a different clientele. And people now are living longer, they have more equipment requirements, and we don't have the space for all that. We did a lot of research. We had a proposal to renovate, put an addition and renovate the building. And the provincial government said, why are you wasting money on, you'll still have an old building. So we kept on moving forward. We hired a consultant and did some research into other modes of nursing home and found the Greenhouse Project, which is a not-for-profit charitable organization in the States. They have over 300 nursing homes across the States. And their idea, in a nutshell, is a household model, so you actually live in a home-like environment where each home has their own living, dining, kitchen area. Meals are all shared, and you get the sense, and when family comes, they get the sense that they are visiting a relative in their home. We've worked with the Department of Social Development. I won't go through all the dates, but over the years, and every time we think that we're getting to where we can maybe get a yes to move forward, they've asked us for additional information. In hindsight, at the time it was frustrating, but in hindsight, this is why we have what we have here now. And I think that it's a lot easier to argue or to present when you have some tangible evidence of what it could look like and what it could incorporate. We have briefed ministers, probably 5, 6, 7. I don't know if it says something about us, but most of those ministers are no longer in cabinet. Anyway, we raised money from a couple of foundations, over $500,000. So this is not taxpayers' money. We've raised money to do all this. We hired an architectural firm out of St. John. We hired Iron Maple contractors out of Sussex to give us a Class D, which is a ballpark cost of a facility. And if anybody wants to know what the cost is, you'll get my standard answer. So we have done our homework. We've spoken with banks, we've spoken with accountants, we've spoken with lawyers, one of whom is in the room right now. We've spoken with contractors, we've spoken with ministers, we've spoken with the community. We did the Healthy Seniors Pilot Project, and a number of you were involved in that. Thank you. What you gave us was more ammunition to go to government and say, this is what the community needs to be able to live a healthy, active life and stay in their community. Why we're doing these open houses today is because we need your support. Obviously, our voices are not carrying it with the politicians. Oh, there's an election this year. So I think if they understand that the community is behind a phenomenal, truly innovative proposal such as this mirrors what's happening in the rest of the world. This mirrors what's happening in progressive communities across Canada. So we're not creating something new, we're creating something that meets the needs to allow people to stay in their community. It allows people to come here for a job and have daycare spots for their children. It allows people to get together and socialize. So it does all those things. So we need you to sign those letters so that the politicians know that this is something the community backs. We firmly believe that this will help us push our proposal over the goal line. And the goal line can be any sport you want, but if it was me, it's probably polo. But I think that we need you, and I know a number of you have signed the letter. It's also on our website, and I will pull up the website later so you guys can see we've updated the website. And I think by the fact that the number of you are here today, you realize that we need these services in our community. So I've talked about the household model, and as you can see, there are 12 bedrooms in each household. And that's, we've got to factor in the staff requirements, communication, and the like. So we don't want to go less than 12. Well, we can't go less than 12. I suspect we'll be pushed to go more than 12, but 12 is what we'd like to have. Each room has their own window looking out onto greenery. Some of the rooms look out onto the daycare play space and the common area. They're all connected by a corridor, which allows people to be mobile throughout the year. And we're hoping maybe the corridor can also be used as a walking trail, protected walking trail. We would have a new facility for our Passamaquoddy Children's Center for all the licensed spaces that they have, so they don't have to have the children in 2 or 3 different buildings in the community. Research and reality has shown that anytime you have people of different ages working together, being together throughout the day, throughout the year, everybody's healthier, happier, more mentally stimulated. They have a program in, and I told somebody I was going to look this up, I believe it's in Winnipeg, where they trialed it with a grade 6 class. They took them to a senior or nursing home, and the kids were interviewed, and they said, at first we went, why are we going here? Like, this is dumb. They now have that part of that grade 6 class's curriculum is time every week in that nursing home as part of their schoolwork. Support to aging in place. We talked about the Senior Resource Center. That's the type of program. The therapy pool that will be incorporated and included in our project. The Adult Day program. What other services come up, because I don't think we have a limit on the number of services that can be identified as we progress. And we also are looking at we have developers who are interested in taking the legacy building, the current lodge, and converting it into accommodation for students, seasonal workers, but year-round accommodation. So hopefully people can maybe run their businesses 7 days a week in the summer when they're trying to make money. And the students don't have to leave when they've got a job here at the end of the year because they have a place to stay year-round. These, I'm just showing you these. They are up on the wall. This gives you an idea of, the laser is supposed to work, but I can't get it to work. This is the daycare. So you come in off Champlain, the daycare's right here. You have 2 homes, the administrative complex at the back, 3 more homes. It'll all be enclosed in terms of, so nobody can escape. I guess they call it elopements. I always thought elopements are different, but anyway. This is the common area that all the households, including the daycare and the administrative, will overlook. So there's always going to be a sense of greenery and life. You've got that picture up there, so I don't know where that. One of the things that our research has shown, and the greenhouse projects research showed that during the course of COVID, their incidence of people contracting COVID and then dying from it was greatly reduced from nursing homes everywhere else, whether it was in Canada, the States, because they were in the households, because people were less exposed, because they had less exchanging of staff coming in and out, in and out, in and out. So that to me is something, whether it's COVID, there are other diseases and viruses that can affect it. A model like this would allow us, if there is a virus in one of the households, the other households can still be open. They can still have visitors. People are not isolated. They still have their family around them in their household of 12 people. I talked about the intergenerational programming. I talked about the support to aging. It's going to be, thanks to the generosity of the town, integrated into the community by being co-located with the subdivision. People go by there all the time. The trails people, and David could talk to that if he wants, but are wanting to extend the trail so that people, if they're out walking, can drop in at the nursing home and go visit Granny or visit their neighbor who's there. We've told from the get-go, we've said we're willing to share all our learnings with any community who wants to look at doing something similar. And they don't have to take the total package. Maybe they don't need a new daycare, so they don't have to worry about that. But at least they can, our research is there and is there for the sharing. And the other thing is, we meet today's standards. Right now, we do not meet today's standards. And as I said, that's not the fault of the building. It was built in a different time when most of the people still drove. So we need to meet today's standards for the needs of our people as they age and who are no longer able to live on their own. If we don't go ahead, The building just to keep it functioning. I'm not talking about renovations, I'm not talking about additions, just to keep it functioning. The cost estimate, and Alan, you're going to have to tell me what year that was in, 2014, 16? Was about 15, $5 million. So if you can do the math with construction costs, it's going to be more than $5 million just to keep it going. If we don't move forward, the town's not going to sit on that land indefinitely, and they might want to develop it. If we have to move further out to find a piece of land big enough for this, we're going to have to extend the sewage, water lines. It's going to cost us a lot more money. We have foundations asking us when this is going to get a go-ahead. They are looking to give us money. If we walk away from that, the cost to everybody goes up tremendously because we're looking to raise $20 million. If we don't move forward, we don't convert the lodge to accommodation for students, to accommodation for seasonal workers, to accommodation for maybe somebody who's coming here and, like a lot of kids these days, has student debt and can't afford a higher rent. We might have to look at putting people into a nursing home because they can't get support to aging in their community. And the daycare is suffering, and people are moving out, and I'll let others talk about that, but they're moving out of town because they can't get daycare. So I've already asked that you look at those letters of support, sign one. There is a box that you can put it into, or you can give it to Nancy or Barbie. And in fact, I think they're going to lock arms and don't let anybody out until you've signed a letter. And this is not just for St. Andrews. We have people in our nursing home from St. John, from Blacks Harbor, from St. Stephen, from Fredericton. This is not just for St. Andrews. This is to give people who deserve it the dignity and the quality of care that they deserve. Brad, would you like to say a few words, or you want to?
Sure. All right, well, first and foremost, it was nice of Fisher-Price to do a model of the new lodge building. All the stops have been brought out here today. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak and inviting me. It means a lot to me. I guess I'll open up by saying that governments, even municipal, I'll take ownership, are often and most times reactive. And as much as I appreciate the fact that everybody here is gathering to see the designs, the focus is on childcare today primarily. And I saw the social media post and everyone wrote underneath it, "Oh, this is exciting. This is so good for St. Andrews. This is great. This is needed." I've got to be real with each and every one of you in this room about the challenge that is before us. So when it comes to the Passamaquoddy Lodge, I think we all know why we need a Passamaquoddy Lodge. If you look at the standards, like Caroline said, it's not up to standards, but it's further than that. There's seniors that don't have a door on their washroom right now. There's seniors that if a drawer is open in their bedroom, they can't get their wheelchair by right now. There is workers, and they have a great team that, because there's not enough room for a lift, they're manually lifting these people up. At some point, when we do these investments, it's not just about some of the people that are here that are a little closer to that age than me, but it literally is about me. When you do these projects, you're talking 50 years. So I have just as much commitment to this for myself than anyone in this room should have. I have parents that are in this community that would like to age in this community, and to think that we have seniors in our community that have a curtain for a bathroom door, that's not okay. We deserve better than that, especially when you've been paying tax your whole life. The last chapter, have it in dignity. So I'm very passionate about that, but it doesn't stop there. I've never seen a community project that touches so many different areas of the community. So yes, obviously, we know what the Passamaquoddy Lodge does for seniors, but if you look at St. Andrews and you look at the census over the last number that have been issued, what do we see in St. Andrews? We saw population decline after population decline. You see your taxes continue to go up because it's less people paying for the same infrastructure that is aging, and we've got to pay more and more. So what was so critical to the future of New Brunswick? Well, it was using immigration. It was a number of different tools to increase population. Well, congratulations. The last census that came out, St. Andrews, the fastest growing community in New Brunswick. We grew 14.8%. That is actually good news, and I know that that's scary for some, but when you have an aging population with population decline, you absolutely need that for the future of your community. But attracting people here is just one step of it. Retaining them is a completely different. People want to age in place. But also the other thing is childcare. I don't know how many personal messages I've got over the last 2 years of people saying, I love this community, but I can't go to work because I can't find a place for my kids to go before school. Literally, that young age that we were so keen on getting here, there is people that are calling, and we've got great staff at the Passamaquoddy Children's Center, but there is people calling right now, and you're 8th on the wait list. So what type of hope does that give? I know of a family that left this community just over a year ago. One was a nurse, one was an essential worker. And their daycare that they had was somebody that was retired in the community that shut down and couldn't do it anymore. They couldn't find a place to take their kids after school. So what they ended up doing is one of them agreed to work nights. So you've got a family, 2 young kids, and the parents are working opposite shifts to make it work in our community. They have no sense of sitting around the supper table after a hard day's work with their kids to find out how their day is. They basically, husband and wife, on opposite schedules, and you know what they did? They left. They moved away. They moved to be closer to where their parents were because they couldn't do it anymore in this community. A project like this helps seniors, but it also helps young workers that are going to continue to fuel the things we need in this community. And the last thing, and there's many others, is, again, talk about immigration. That's what New Brunswick needs, right? We have a New Brunswick Community College here in town that had year after year enrollment decline. Think about that, how big of an employer it is, how big of a training. All those workers we see downtown, a lot of them are trained at the New Brunswick Community College, and if that enrollment decline doesn't stop, what are they going to be looking at in the future for that facility? I'm really happy to say that that enrollment decline has reversed, but how many people are coming to this community and not able to find a place to live? How many people are dropping out because they didn't find a place to live? How many people are transferring campuses outside of this community when we need them here? We need them in the jobs. So having a new lodge could give potential, to Caroline's point, for the old building to come in there and actually be a facility to help actually attract these people. Think of people that could actually move to Canada or move from, whether you be from Woodstock, move down here, but we train them for the trade jobs that we need, that we're short as a province, and all we need to do, think about it, we've grown. Let's help our seniors age in place. Let's help childcare because we have families needing it. And let's help the New Brunswick Community College be a labor force for New Brunswick. This project helps all 3 of those. I don't know of a single project that could have so much influence on so many different areas of our community. But I go back to my original comment. Governments are reactive. I cannot sit here before you right now and tell you I feel any closer to this becoming a reality than I did a year ago. I feel no closer than I was 2 years ago. And I know there's concern over the town land. Town council has been steady supporting. We're not threatening to pull the project. We're in for the long haul with you. And I get your point that eventually it is going to happen. But we need to get a lot more vocal if you want this to happen. I love you. I love your presentations, but I've seen too many of them. So if you want it to happen, we have to get more vocal. The latest update I had is they're doing an assessment, and I don't know if it's the same one that you are, of the existing, some of the existing senior care facilities. This is one that they're looking at. I'm told the results of that are going to be, I was told by the end of February, so hopefully next week you're right. But that for me is, I think, for all of you and the board who has given so much time, like the amount of time that the board has put into this and your volunteers is incredible. But I think you've got to reach a point where you call it, and say, is this going to happen or not? Because right now it's, oh, this is the next reason why we haven't been able to confirm. It's either in the budget or it's not. You asked me a question, is a building going to happen this year in St. Andrews? I can tell you right now, yes or no. It's in the budget or it's not. So I think we are all owed an answer, and I think when you look at all these areas that it impacts the community, it's a project that should go ahead, not just for the future of our seniors, but for the entire community. So thanks for the time and let me speak today.
Thanks, Brad. So it's sort of like mutual. Just saying, I don't need to be making this presentation many more times. We will take some questions. If you want to ask a question, you have to let Vicki come to you with the mic so we can record it. And depending on the question, we will have the person best suited to answer it for you.
First and foremost, thank you to everyone who has put in so many hours. It's much appreciated. I'm curious about the fact that the new lodge would not add rooms for seniors, in that the number stays the same. There's 60 available at the old lodge, and the new one will have the same, and there must be a reason that there's not more. I'd be curious to hear about that. Also, I'm wondering about whether it increases the number of spaces for daycare. And
Okay.
shall I
Go ahead.
put them all out?
Yep.
And the third question is, from the first shovel in the ground to completion, what length of time do you think that will be?
Okay, the last question I will not answer, because I will tell you about a year, and everybody else in the room will go, no. To your first question, the number of beds in a nursing home is dictated by the province. They look at things such as demographics, the catchment area, wait list, and numerous other factors, and they are the ones that dictate that. They have stipulated 60 beds here. They had told us there was no requirement for us to increase the number of beds, and that's fine. Our model would allow us to increase. The model we're proposing, the household model, would allow us to increase, because you could build another house. Or you could build another house to meet other needs. Say it's determined that we need a space for assisted living. So things like that. Or we don't need as many nursing home beds. We could have one of the houses converted to staff accommodation. So the model gives us flexibility for that. In terms of the daycare, you have to come up, Emma. You need to be in the mic.
Here she is. So Courtney is the executive director. So how many spaces would be in the new daycare? Is that the question?
118 is the plan.
Yeah. It
Yes,
is.
absolutely. So it'd be an increase from our infant space so currently we're grandfathered into 9 spaces in the infant center. So when we move to a new spot, we would hopefully have
118 children.
118 there, and then 14
Yeah.
infants.
So just
118. Right now at the main center we have 59, and our satellite site we have 30. Yeah.
Just to give you an idea of the current wait lists, for infants there's 14 on the wait list. For 2s there's 25, for 3s there's 10, for 5-year-olds there's 4, and the after school needs are currently being met, but that is between 2 sites.
Yeah.
So it's not ideal by any means. So any other questions for daycare? No? Released? Okay.
For now. So what am I supposed to say for construction time from the minute shovels go in the ground, Alan? 2 years? Now, 2 years from when we start construction till when we would hopefully be able to open the doors. One of the things that will impact that is we have to furnish the new facility. So say there are delays in getting beds or tables or something like that. That could delay things, but hopefully that wouldn't be, because we have the 2 years to meet that deadline.
Oh, hi. My name is Franklin Cardy. My question is, what are we waiting for? Is it the government to give us permission to go ahead? Or what is the block at the moment?
We cannot commence building a nursing home until such time as the government has said yes, and we negotiate a contract between us and the government.
So what do we have to do?
Sign those letters.
Just put pressure on.
Yes.
Okay. And we have an election coming, as you mentioned.
Well, and yes.
Is that the only block? I mean, basically, I understand you're pretty well saying that we can find the money somehow or other, but we're stopped by the government.
I didn't hear the last part. Sorry.
But we're stopped prevented from proceeding
Yes.
because we haven't
Yes.
got a contract with the government.
Yeah.
And how close are we to getting that? How close are we to getting an agreement?
I take it. We're not, well, we're actually closer. You guys are the first to hear this, closer than we were even 3 months ago. So, I mean, but I think to push us into the yes part of this is we need the community to show that this is needed and the community backs it. Just one behind you, Vicki.
I think the community's shown a lot of, I mean, you people especially have shown an amazing amount of effort. So let's try and break through the barrier.
Thank you, Franklin.
So in 2022, government announced that 4 new nursing homes would be built. Can you hear me? In 2022, government announced 4 new nursing homes to be built. Moncton, Oromocto, maybe one in Fredericton, and 1 was to be replaced. So have they updated that plan? So there's been no update since 2022. And can we ask, what makes us closer? So you say we're closer than we were. So government has been sitting on this for a very long time. What makes us a little bit closer?
The fact that they are talking to us, they are doing some of their own homework to figure out what it's going to cost to maintain the current building. The fact that they realize that there are a number of 50-year-old nursing homes in this province, and they're going to have to start somewhere because they have to be replaced. Our building looks remarkably stable and well-maintained and adequate for the needs of the community from the outside. And it is relatively stable. And it does meet a lot of the needs. But the mayor spoke about it does not meet the needs of the people who live there, the people who work there. And so the government, I believe, is on the slide that they realize they have to start doing something. I think there was a question here and then over there.
Other than doing the letters up that you would like to do, what other things as we as a public, what can we do to help support you guys and push the government more? Is there lobbying that we can do as individuals to help you? Is there a list of telephone numbers that we can annoy them with or something?
Yes. Yes. So one of the things that, so we've improved or updated our website for Passamaquoddy Lodge. And on that, under the new lodge project, they have the overview, which copies are available at the back. And we have copies of the letter of support. And I believe, did we take the phone numbers off the letter of support? We did, okay. It's in the package. It's in the package, okay. And if you think there's somebody else, But the other thing you can do is you can talk to your friends, you can talk to your neighbors, you can talk to somebody. I mean, to your point, I know somebody who drives to St. Stephen every day to drop their child off at daycare so they can come back to St. Andrews and work. I mean, really. And, you know, if you live in Toronto or Montreal or Vancouver, maybe that's not a big deal. But in Toronto and Montreal and Vancouver, you have alternate sources of transportation. You don't have that here, so you're driving in a car. Anyway. So you can talk to people in the community, you can talk to people who live, maybe you know somebody who's had a family member at the lodge here who lives in Blacks. Get them to send the letter of support in. Get it spread around. If you think that we need to make this presentation to other people, despite the fact I said I don't want to do it anymore, I will do it. I believe in this. I believe in this. You guys have no idea how much I believe in this, because there have been days that we've all thought of quitting. It's been so frustrating. And I did an interview the other day, and I said, at our lowest points, the reason we kept going is we had the town believed in us and said, we've allocated the land for you and we're keeping it for you. I don't think if we hadn't had that, I think there were a couple of times that we would have probably all walked. So, you know, I guess I've got to try and ensure that you share the passion to get this where we need to get it. And it is going to be so phenomenal. And it means that, I know that when with the Healthy Seniors pilot project, the request was for a pool. We can't afford a pool, but we can do a therapy pool. And for those of you who have injuries, or wonky hips, or horses that knock you over, a pool is a great way to get yourself mobile again. So you don't atrophy, you don't end up in a nursing home bed because you didn't have the amenities to keep you going. You know, we are absolutely lucky in this community. We have a wellness center that accommodates a lot of our needs. It doesn't have a dentist. I know that, thank God they don't, because that's where our resource center is. So don't bother getting a dentist, okay? But how many communities would love to have something like that? We have that. We have 2 schools. We have the largest year-round employer is going to occupy that new facility. The Passamaquoddy Lodge is the largest year-round employer in St. Andrews. So think of the economic impact of continuing to have a nursing home here. There was another question over here, yeah.
To your point about where else you can communicate this, I'm wondering if you have gone to the communities outside of St. Andrews. You mentioned Black Harbors, you mentioned all the communities that this facility will serve. So I'm not sure if your presentations have gone beyond St. Andrews. And as well, you mentioned after your presentation about the flexibility this offers. I think that should be emphasized in any communications, because that's awesome. This is not, you know, a closed system that's being built. This is something that has great possibility in future for the changes. So that flexibility is huge. Okay, I think that was it for now.
So Yolanda or Emma, do you want to talk about the communicating with other communities? Okay, you don't have to do rock, paper, scissors, you know? Okay.
We're going to come together.
Excuse me, John, I ask a question. My name's John Mark. And my wife was at Passamaquoddy Lodge at one time. And my question to you is, have you explained to the folks here how this thing gets financed?
So how the thing gets financed. Under the old model of nursing home, and we will answer your question, I've got the experts here. Under the old model for nursing homes in the province, the province paid to construct and maintain the nursing home. The new financial model is that we have to go out and borrow the money, and we have to have money set aside for life cycle management or asset management. So we are going to be totally responsible for financing and maintaining the building. So it is a different model, and we have willingly undertaken that risk because it makes sense. And one of the ways we're going to do this is I talked about trying to raise $20 million. That's so we can keep the costs down and hopefully.
But the fact is, in the old days, the government made grants. They don't have any money, so they can't make any grants to build these homes. And so now they have to say, okay, let's go ahead. You go get the mortgage, and we'll repay you on a per diem basis. That's how it works, isn't it?
Well, they will agree to paying a per diem, and but that's to be negotiated. And that's negotiated between every individual nursing home in the province.
Exactly. But they have to say yes. Okay, go get the best mortgage you can get. Go ahead and...
We can't get a mortgage until the province says yes, you're going ahead.
I know. And then, so you get a mortgage, and then if the mortgage isn't going to get it done, then you have to raise extra dollars. You say $20 million and so on to make it happen. And so you need the province to say yes.
Yes. Yeah. So back to your question, I will let...
I apologize. Can you repeat the question?
It was really to determine whether you have gone broadly to other communities. My fear is that this might be seen to be something that serves by those in power, those only in St. Andrews, and St. Andrews is already blessed, right? So I'm wondering about how broadly you have communicated this will be serving more than just St. Andrews.
Well, I mean, currently at the nursing home now, we have residents from everywhere over Charlotte County, even St. John at times. So, you know, it's very much pulling from every different community.
But to get the support needed,
right,
we need to reach out to those communities as well to get them on board, right?
So currently, Emma runs the Resource Center, which
Hi,
is
Emma.
Hi. To help keep seniors at home for as long as possible and healthy. And Emma, do you want to tell them where you've been?
Yeah, so that is also serving the whole of Charlotte County. So through those channels as well, we're able to garner support that way. I'm actually off to Campobello on Monday and Grand Manan the following Monday. So this month is really traveling, spreading the word about all these things going on, as well as hoping to help people age in place for as long as possible. Yeah.
And also at the nursing home, we have one of the few respite beds in New Brunswick, so that's why we get people from everywhere. And I do find when they stay with us, they go back and they tell two friends and they tell two friends, so we get a bigger catchment that we're serving at the nursing home.
It's not so much a question, Carolyn, but I know we want to keep coming back to, we want to come back to what can our community and the members of this community do to make sure this project proceeds. And I'm not sure whether it's entirely clear as to why it hasn't proceeded. And I think it's fair to say that it's up to the government to make a decision as to whether it's going to fund the day-to-day costs of a nursing home. The Passamaquoddy Lodge is a nonprofit organization that would raise the money and build it. But the government pays the day-to-day expenses for its residents. The government has made a decision over the last number of years to pay and to look at new facilities. And we have been going to them for all these years saying, but you have to think about replacement facilities. They're finally, we think, realizing they need to do something about replacing this facility. But they're not there yet. It's going to take some money and a decision on their part to agree to negotiate how much it's going to cost for its residents. And as you can tell, it's probably going to cost more than it's paying now. That is what's at issue. And they're worried, to a certain extent, we think, at the precedent that's going to be set by this model. So we are trying to persuade the number one dog, and we all know who that is, and I don't mind saying the Premier, that this is worthwhile. So you want to talk and you want to make a decision or help him and his government make a decision, you've got to talk about and to the Premier. Our member, who's now a minister, is supportive, but by herself, we don't think that she can, well, she will admit, it's not entirely up to her. So the reason for this meeting is to let you know what we're doing and what you can do to make sure it gets done. And it's got to be done soon. The costs are going up, inflation, everything. We need it now. And Carolyn has said it's been a long process, and if I sound frustrated, it's probably because I am. But that is where we think the issue lies. It's central government, and your support as citizens and residents of this community are vital to making sure the correct decision is made in a timely fashion.
And to that end, wouldn't it be helpful if we each went home and phoned the Premier's office and said, what about this? I mean, all of the people in this room, if they made a phone call, that would have a huge impact.
Yes, it would.
It's as simple as that.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm just wondering why there was nothing put up in Passamaquoddy Lodge to let people know that families particularly, that this meeting was happening. And if you're looking for lobbyists, I'm sure there's plenty of families who have family members there that would speak up. For example, my mother, who has macular degeneration, is in there. And when we talk about what extra services are available and even the setup of her room for someone who really cannot see, it's inadequate and it's not acceptable. And there's a lot more stories like that that should be able to make an impact on our, both the Minister of Seniors and our Premier.
Yolanda, did you want to address that, or?
Families were. We didn't have the information in time to send it home with the newsletter, but we did put it on our public Facebook page. It's also on the bulletin board in the lodge, both of them. We also had it on our private Facebook page to hope. So on the front, when you first come in, on the bulletin board that's empty, there's the invite. Also on the bulletin board, there's the activities, there's the invite, as well as on a public Facebook page,
Okay.
there's the invite.
Well, I didn't see it.
I'm sorry you didn't see it.
No, and I asked your staff, and they didn't know about it either.
It was on the staff Facebook page, it was on our public Facebook page, and it's hung up in the lodge as well.
Carolyn, two questions for you. One, Councillor Harlan noted that there were 4 new nursing homes that were upgraded or developed. Were those private or were those nonprofit?
The nursing home strategy 2018 to 2023 focused solely on new beds. So replacement homes was not part of that strategy. To the best of my knowledge, all of those new homes are private, for profit.
Second question is, what is the current per diem for a bed in the Passamaquoddy Lodge? How does that compare to the provincial average? And where would an anticipated new per diem for the lodge need to be for this facility? Thank you.
So one of the frustrations in dealing with projects like this is that the province does not share per diems, and nursing homes are told they're not to share per diems. I know what our per diem is. It is low. We do not have any outstanding loans. We do not have any major construction projects underway for which we'd have to have loans, which would put the per diem up. Our per diem would go up considerably, probably double. But then if you factor in the 2015 nursing home standards, by those standards, our square footage should be nearly 2.5 times what it currently is. That's pre-COVID. So if you're going to double or more than double your square footage, the costs are going to go up. You're going to have to heat more. You're going to have to clean more. You're going to have more staff so that they can be in places or see how people are doing in terms of the residents. So the costs will go up.
One further question. In regards to your new build and the concept, how are you taking into account a net zero or a LEED certification to reduce those costs and those burdens that would be on the taxpayer of the province?
That is one of the, and I'm going to look at Alan, but that is one of the issues that we will include, that we will factor in. We have talked to, when we got our Class D estimate for construction, we were looking at including those types of costs. We are also, the architects also factor that in, and we will be looking at what grants and the like are available from the federal government to help us implement and reduce the cost of maintaining or heating the buildings. I'd like to have solar panels around it, but anyway.
You mentioned the pool that. Do I understand correctly from that people that are not staying at the lodge will have access to those? And on what basis? How will that play itself out?
I think that remains to be seen. I mean, let's get the shovels in the ground, and it depends on the demand for the pool. If the residents are not using it, obviously there is increased availability for people in the community.
Is it true that there are other care facilities even within Charlotte County that actually has a higher per diem payment from the government than what we do?
I would assume that I will use Lyncourt as an example, and I'm only using Lyncourt because I know that they had renovations about, 5 years ago. Because they did renovations, they would have had to take out a loan. The loan would be included in the per diem, so your per diem would automatically go up. That was the way the government worked under the old system. So I would have to assume that their per diem is higher than ours. But as I said, they don't share that information, so.
Listening to the discussion, it sounds to me as if it's almost fair to say that the government is preventing us from building our own nursing home. Would that be fair?
I wouldn't say the government is preventing us from building it. They're trying to, part of our job is to sell them on this concept, which is a new concept for what they have, it's a new concept to what they provided in the past. It is, as a result, bigger because each household has its own kitchen, dining, living area. You're replicating that 5 times. You also have a central activity room which could function as a dining room, so that would be standard in any institutional nursing home. We have a main kitchen, but you also, as I say, each household would have their own kitchen. So we're having to convince them. But that Chinese water torture test? It works.
Is it possible to have a private not-for-profit combination so that you have 1 or 2 homes that is, would that make a difference to the government if you had a combination?
I'm not sure how well that would work given that our mandate is a community-based not-for-profit nursing home. We would have to change the bylaws of the facility. It could affect our not-for-profit charitable status. And we'd also have to figure out how you do for-profit, not-for-profit. So the for-profit gets all the money and upgrade, and we're the second cousin.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out if they seem to be more focused on the private, then maybe they would be more open if there was a combination. But I see your point. That would change the charter and everything.
Okay, well, I'm going to, if people have any questions about the schematics or the renderings, please catch one of us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks for signing the letters for those of you who did. Phone the Premier's office. Don't pass go. Don't collect $200. Go straight to the Premier's office.
Thank you.